Kind of funny, Valentine's Day. So I get this parfait down my throat. Man, that's some good stuff. Thank you, Anna.
Parfait.
Valentine's Day. We're not showing the Warriors a lot of love today, even after a win. People are frustrated, man. People are frustrated. And I know I've teased the Steve Kerr, Bob Myers, and Steph Curry sound about James Wiseman. I do want to get to that. I know we have Baldy coming up in 10 minutes. Here, let's do this. Let's hear from Bob, because he was the first one to speak yesterday at 11 a.m. We carried it live on 95.7 The Game. Here's Myers on the tough decision to trade James Wiseman.
Tough move to make as far as trading him. One of the reasons we drafted him is because of who he is. He is a great kid and did everything we asked him to do on time, worked hard, great attitude, whether he was playing or not, G League and back and forth. And so it was a tough thing to do to move someone that we liked that much as a person. I know that's a business goes beyond that as far as on the court, off the court stuff. So that was a challenge, but I hope he does well. I hope he gets an opportunity to play, and I think he will more than he was getting with us. So moving him was something that we did just more based on trying to help this team win.
Now, not only that, because Wiseman wasn't seeing any minutes and he wasn't going to be able to contribute to the winning. Here's what Steve Kerr said before the game, as he says he was all in on drafting James Wiseman.
It was hard on a personal level because of our affection for James and the talent level. I was all in on taking James when we did. I was part of the group and loved the ability and loved everything that we saw. I think you can't always foresee circumstances. You remember at the time we had the worst record in the league. Clay had just torn his Achilles. We didn't really know where we were as a team. Frankly, we didn't know we would win a championship, a year and a half later. I think the important thing, and I was a GM once, not a very good one, but I've been in Bob's shoes. The important thing is in this league, and I think in all sports, is you have to move forward. You can't look back. You have to move forward and make whatever moves that are necessary to succeed in the present state of the team and going forward. And so that was the determination that the organization made.
So one thing we could finally debunk, and some people are going to say, well, Steve Kerr is paid to say things like that. There's this notion that Joe Lacob was the only one who wanted James Wiseman drafted. And Joe Lacob was the only one holding on to him or whatnot. Joe Lacob was ticked. Tim Kawakami told us this last Thursday. I've heard this all season long. I've seen Joe. Joe will make little comments like, I'm not the only one who wanted Wiseman. You know what I'm saying? Joe Lacob is aware of what's being said about him. Has Joe Lacob made mistakes? Sure. But this was an organizational mistake. An organizational mistake. The players wanted Wiseman. The coaches wanted Wiseman. Lacob wanted Wiseman. Front office wanted Wiseman. Did not work. Everybody failed in getting this guy ready to go. All right? Just didn't happen. Wiseman, the injuries, failed him. His body failed him. Happened. Didn't play a lot of basketball. Didn't play a lot of basketball coming out of Memphis. Didn't play a lot of basketball after his rookie season. It hurt him. And the Warriors were still able to win the championship. So now he's trying to play catch up, and he's just not there yet. So you move him. But there's a lot of people out there, Shasky, who are not feeling the move to trade James Wiseman, because now you get Gary Payton II, and Gary Payton II fits better right now than James Wiseman, but we're not going to see him for at least a month.
Well, no, we're not going to see him for longer than that, because
at least a month.
They're
That's what
reassessing him March 13th.
At least a month.
This whole thing is so weird. Look, I don't know. I don't know I don't pretend like Wiseman's going to be Kareem Abdul-Jabbar or any of those things. And I know that his feel for the game isn't as great as what others. You have to play to get better in sports.
Right.
You don't just all of a sudden come out of nowhere and like, oh, I'm really good now. I barely played at all, but now I'm awesome. Mm-hmm. Like you have to go out and play. And so you have to make a commitment organizationally. And it goes through the head coach. That if we are going to have young players on the roster, if we are going to get to our ultimate goal, I have to be willing and committed to seeing them play through these mistakes and get better. I don't think we ever got a month stretch in the last 2 years, and partly because one of the years he was hurt, where I could say that about Kuminga, Wiseman, or Moody.
Right.
Forget Wiseman. Like that, he's the microcosm here or the metaphor, but like all three I feel can be lumped in the same. Have you seen 1 month of consistent, you are going to play X amount of minutes through mistakes, and I'm not going to lose my mind when you fall asleep defensively?
It felt like Kuminga was headed there, and then he suffered a foot sprain. And it was a setback. Wiseman. It felt like he was getting there slowly, then he gets an ankle sprain, and he's out a month. So not only are you young, inexperienced, but every little injury, every time you got to sit out for 3 to 5 games, or you got to sit out for 2 weeks, that hurts your development. That hurt. It's not like you're Steph Curry where you could just come back into the starting lineup and boom, 35 minutes, boom, 35 points, 7 made threes. You haven't played a lot yet. You don't know the league yet.
So, like, again, I don't know what's going on at practice. I don't pretend to, like, I know guys gossip on the team and they've got their own feelings. But when the coach is yo-yoing the guys and slamming them onto the bench, when the coach is doing that all the time in real game, what do you expect the vets to do? There's going to be a natural alienation. Like, we do this in classrooms across America. When you see one teacher go at a student in the classroom, everybody's like, oh, that's the problem guy. He's the reason, not us. It's him over there. He's the one who's goofing off, right? And so maybe these guys just stink. That could definitely, they're all Jacob Evans.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe they are. I think they've got more to their game than that.
Yeah,
but, like, you've got to make a commitment, and you've got to be a little more tender with some of those young guys. Right now, I know the vets have earned the benefit of the doubt.
Right.
But, like, for example, this mirage of Andre Iguodala. Andre Iguodala's not helping you this year. It's a wrap. His career is over. If he plays,
you don't think he's helping them in that locker room? I don't know. Look, and I'm gonna ask you this. I'm gonna ask you this without knowing what the hell's going on in the locker room.
Okay.
All right. I'm gonna ask you this. Well, like, I kind of feel you. You need Iguodala to play, especially on this team.
So these two things.
But can you? I wonder. Now we'll ask Darrell right this. We'll ask Darrell this because I wonder if you're playing out there and you've got a player who's not playing, he's just on the bench coaching, and yeah, he may have all the experience in the world. Does that really help you?
Why? So here's my thing. You cannot sit here and say every dollar matters. We need to save money on James Wiseman. Roster spots that are helping us win, they all matter. And then simultaneously say Iggy can stay because he's a player coach.
Right.
And he's going to soak up salary and a spot. Those two things are incongruent. So, like, you can't have it both ways. That's my thing. He's a coach. Like, and I'm not knocking him.
And it's not all on Steve.
No.
It's not all on Steve.
No, that's everybody. Organizational commitment.
Yeah, no doubt.
That's organizational commitment.
It's not all on Steve.
So, like, what I'm saying is that, like, I am not here to bash 3 young players, or 4 if you throw in Patrick Baldwin, if you're not going to also simultaneously criticize the wasting of the money and the roster spot on Andre Iguodala. He's a coach.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not ripping him. It's just he's done. He's played what a grand total of 7 points this year.
Grand 7 points, 15 podcasts.
But it's the reality of where we're at. And so when you make that commitment as an organization, we're going to bring back Iguodala, and you know he's not going to play, right? So don't sit here and tell me we're trying to save every single dollar and get out of the luxury tax. And there's a big time difference between James Wiseman's $3 million savings and Iguodala making, what is he making, 2 million bucks, whatever it is. Like if that's what you're going to say, okay, then you're wasting your spot on him.
No doubt.
Both can't be congruent. That's all I'm saying. That's incongruent to me.
No doubt. And then it's the players on the court. It's not just Steve Kerr. Steph Curry's had some big-time blunders in crunch time. Big-time turnovers. Missed shots. Andrew Wiggins hasn't been the same now. He played well yesterday. Let's see if he can build on that because he hasn't been the same since he suffered the right adductor strain. Jordan Poole, and look, I'm going to give Jordan Poole the benefit of the doubt. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. For a young guy like that, who went through what he went through in training camp. And he's trying to get right with Draymond Green. Jordan Poole has had to play so many different roles with so many different combinations. So how can he find consistency when 1 minute he's starting, 1 minute he's a 6th man, 1 minute he's a 7th man,
and he's a
1 minute he's the 8th man. Next thing you know, he's playing with Wiseman. Then he's playing with JaMychal. Then he's playing with Kuminga. Then he's playing with he's
starting
playing with
bench.
It's just so many different combinations.
And he gets crushed by everyone. Myself included.
So I don't know, man.
Let's put a bow on this because I want to get back to it in 30 minutes.
We got to get the ball.
Yeah, I want to get back to the Warriors.
8 o'clock. Darrell Wright, 8 o'clock. And then we got more sound about James Wiseman as they get ready to play the Clippers. And we're not just ripping Steve Kerr. It's everybody, man. We're a little frustrated. with the Golden State Warriors. We're not frustrated with the way the Super Bowl ended. We're a little happy about that, but we are ecstatic to have Brian Baldinger back on the show for for his regular appearance. This may be the last one till next football season, man. I'm getting a little sad, getting emotional. Go ahead, Spinoni, hit the intro. My main man, Baldy, breaking down Super Bowl 57. We love it. Getting a little emotional, man. I think this may be his last appearance for a while on the Morning Roast. And it's been a hell of a football season, back-to-back seasons here on the Morning Roast. Actually, 3 years now on the Morning Roast. So, Baldy, man, it's good to talk to you, man. I saw your breakdowns already. You've done a great job all season long. Super Bowl 57. Very fascinating football game. I thought the Eagles were going to run away with it. Mahomes does what he does. Andy Reid was in his bag. Eric Bieniemy, and the Chiefs still it. I guess let's start here. The last play, everybody's talking about the defensive holding call. What did you think in real time? What do you think now about the call that basically ended the Eagles' chances to win Super Bowl 57?
I mean, I flat out didn't agree with it. I mean, first of all, it's the only holding call they made all day. All right, so, I mean, they decided all game that there wasn't going to be basically any holding. Not that they didn't see it, they just didn't call it. To call it in that situation when the ball's flying over Juju's head, I don't know. Like, you don't know what's going to happen in the next minute and 54 seconds, you know, on fourth down there, field goal, they make the field goal, the Eagles get it back. We don't know, but we'd like to find out. In some ways, I'm not defending Jalen Hurts or the Eagles, but it feels a little hollow because I feel like it's a little bit similar to watching Josh Allen sit on the bench last year in that shootout game with Kansas City where he didn't get a chance in overtime to touch the ball. They changed the rule. You know, just because James Bradbury said it was a hold or Carl Cheffers said it was a hold, just because they said that doesn't change the fact that no other holding calls was made that day. You know, I mean, on that particular play, you could have called holding on Marcus Epps on Travis Kelce. He was held on the play. They called that one. So, I don't know. I just disagreed with it. I like to just see him play it out because I don't – even if he didn't hold him, I don't think this is going to be a touchdown to Juju. The ball's like way over his head. Now, you know, Mahomes is supposed to argue the call. That's what he did. That's what quarterbacks do. They're trying to get the call. But, I don't know. To answer your question, Bonte, I would like to see them, you know, go for the field goal and kick off and see what the Eagles can do.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I'm not saying that you're doing this, but it does feel like we're spending a disproportionate amount of time talking about that and not the fact that Kansas City's offense could not be stopped in the second half.
Yep. No doubt, Joe. No doubt. I mean, 4 possessions, 4 scores. And, you know, I've got guys from the Eagles telling me, the field was terrible. Everybody was slipping. It probably slowed down a fierce pass rush to some degree. But, the Chiefs ran for 158 yards. Yeah. They averaged over 6 yards a carry.
Yep.
Mahomes looked better after the ankle got twisted. Somehow. He looked better after it than he did beforehand. And all those young kids, like you look at the offense and Kadarius Toney, and Isaiah Pacheco, and you look at these young, fresh legs. They're just dynamic young players. And it's kind of, it should really send a signal to the whole league that, those are it was interesting. I'm not getting way off topic here, but I saw a stat yesterday. It's an amazing stat, Joe. Over the last 24 years, the leading ground gainer in the Super Bowl never made more than $2 million.
I saw that.
And that was Leonard Fournette a couple of years ago.
I saw
never.
that. Yeah.
Never made more than $2 million.
I did see that ball.
In that season. There's a stat out there, Bonte.
Right, I saw that. I'll pull it up.
I saw it yesterday.
No, yeah.
And I go, give me a 7th-round pick that's got juice. Go find Kadarius, go rob a franchise that doesn't know how to use a player. Things aren't working out. Go make the phone call. Like, you got to be plugged into this. Like, I don't think they win that Super Bowl without Kadarius Toney. And he was a mess in New York.
Yeah.
No doubt.
But somehow he comes to Kansas City, Bieniemy, Andy Reid, Mahomes. Like, he found new life.
No doubt. Brian Baldinger, courtesy of the Bud Light guest line. Bud Light, easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Was that the biggest surprise to you about Super Bowl 57? Because it was for me. I thought the Eagles would just dominate the line of scrimmage. I did not see the Kansas City Chiefs running for over 6 yards a pop. That surprised me, Baldy. Was that the biggest surprise to you?
Yeah, but both sides. I mean, Patrick Mahomes threw 27 times. He wasn't sacked. In fact, he wasn't close to being sacked.
No.
He got hit a couple of times. But that was both, the Chiefs won the game in the trenches. You could talk about the play calling was excellent inside the 5. They had a little thing on the Eagles and how they rotate, pre-snap motion. They took advantage of it. But that being said, the Eagles could not stop the Chiefs. Not once in the second half. It was, and I had a player for the Eagles text me yesterday, and he said this feels a lot like the Falcons' collapse to him. Because they went in the locker room totally in control of that game. Sirianni did everything he was supposed to do. Went for it on 4th downs, gambled, put up 24 points. I mean, they were time of possession, plays, totally controlled that game. Second half, they couldn't finish the deal.
And the Eagles only run for 3.8 yards a carry. That was surprising. Miles Sanders, 7 carries, 21 yards. Gainwell, 7 carries, 16 yards. They couldn't run the ball either. It was shocking. I'm very shocked by that development, Baldy. Very shocked.
I agree. I mean, I thought that would be the reason why the Eagles would have won. Was I thought they were better in the trenches all year long than Kansas City, and I thought that, but it just didn't play out that way. The Chiefs' offensive line and the way they protected Mahomes was excellent, and they held up just great. I mean, the Eagles have 9 pass rushers they can send at you in waves. None of them made a dent in the pass rush.
Yeah, I'll get to Andy Reid in a second. Mahomes, I was telling Bonte, I said to the group thread, I'm like, vision, pocket awareness, instincts, smarts in terms of IQ, pre and post snap, arm talent, the ability to throw from different slots, mobility. He has no weakness. I feel like I'm watching the greatest quarterback of all time, and that sounds absurd to say out loud. And I know Brady's got the resume, Montana's got the resume. Baldy, you do this for a living. You're watching quarterbacks all day. I feel like I'm watching the greatest player who ever lived at playing the position in real time. Is that an overstatement?
No, I agree with you. He's the best player in the league. He's been the best player in the league for 5 straight years. The only thing he doesn't have is the longevity of Tom Brady. Or some of these other guys. But, to put 2 up in 4 years, have 2 MVPs right here. He's 27 years old. I mean, I saw him play at Texas Tech a bunch. I think I did his first start at Texas Tech when I was doing Big 12 games for Fox. But nobody could have imagined that he would be this good, this consistently good, where he gives you a chance to win, not just every week, he's giving you a chance to win the Super Bowl every year right now. And I remember all the offseason conversation. Oh, Tyreek Hill, they don't have the deep threat. You can't have anybody take. I mean, he had Juju and he had all those young guys, Sky Moore, down at his place in Texas. They were throwing in the offseason. He's just a consummate, not just player, Joe. He's just a consummate teammate. And you never, ever see him misspeak, ever.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that comes out of him is just genuine. That's why. It's just all genuine. And it just comes from a place of competition and fun, and it's everything that we want sports to be, is what Mahomes is.
How about before we move off of Mahomes, to me, he's gonna peel off more Super Bowls. I think that's inevitable, right? But I think we've kind of underrated how great he is. Every guy, Herbert's better, Burrow's coming for him, and they're all very good players. I'm not here to deny it.
No Mahomes.
The difference between Mahomes and everyone else feels Grand Canyon-esque. And he made that throw to Kelsey first quarter. I don't think people realize how sick that throw was. Perfect touch pass, over the top, just right in the breadbasket. He never makes an interceptable pass. He's ridiculous.
Well, you think about crunch time, the 26-yard run at the end of this game to put him in field goal range, all right, on that ankle. You think about the run at the end of the Cincinnati game to put him in field goal range. I mean, back-to-back championship games, AFC championship, Super Bowl championship. He's making the key run in the game to put him in field goal range to win. On an ankle that, let's face it, who knows, when that thing's going to feel right.
Right.
Is he in a walking boot today? Who knows? But it doesn't matter. It doesn't, he just understands the moment. And I was talking to David Carr. We were doing a show yesterday, former quarterback. And I was like, how do you teach his pocket awareness?
It's so good.
I see quarterbacks all the time. I know you do, Joe, and Bonte too as well. You always see those quarterbacks when there's pressure. they sack themselves.
Yes.
They literally run into the defender, and they sack themselves. That never happens to Mahomes. In fact, there's a play I put up yesterday. Obviously, the field was an issue. And he's stepping up in the pocket, and he looks like he's going to do just the splits. Like his feet are just sliding out from underneath him.
Yep.
And there's Hassan Reddick right in front of him, and he makes a miss. He regains his balance. And, oh, by the way, he makes the throw to Travis Kelce for a first down.
And Kelce makes a sick catch.
Yeah.
He makes a sick catch.
Yep. That was unbelievable.
Yeah. I mean, look, so now that you mentioned Kelce, I mean, look, we all watched Montana and Jerry Rice for over a decade. That was the greatest. Like this Mahomes to Kelce thing
so good.
is every bit
so
as
good.
dangerous as that has been.
No doubt.
I feel like he
Brian
runs the
Baldinger.
same route.
He does. I feel like he does run the same route.
The
No
same
doubt.
little like over route, and
no
he's
doubt.
wide open every time.
And the outlier here, too, is you have Andy Reid.
Yeah.
Joe, Jerry, you have Bill Walston, you get Seifert, you get Holmgren calling the shots, and now you got Andy Reid. Number his second championship, and now, like Baldy, we were kicking it around. I'm thinking like Joe Gibbs, of course, Bill Walsh, Tom Landry. We've got Mike Shanahan in there somewhere. We got some all-time great play called Mike Holmgren, of course. Andy Reid now submitted his place in Canton, Ohio. He's now a Hall of Fame coach who can now stack rings. And we all talk about Belichick, but Andy Reid, and what he, especially over the last 5 years with his 75 games with the score, I mean, Andy Reid could do no wrong right now. You know it felt good for him to beat Philly as well.
Well, you know what he is. I mean, we all have seen the clips of Bill Walsh and Joe, like at the chalkboard, drawing up plays. And we all know those clips are legendary.
Yep.
I never personally can never get enough of it.
Yeah.
But like Andy Reid, like I remember meeting Andy when he first came to Philadelphia in 1999. And, he told me like he was like an old engine head. He could take an engine apart, put it back together. Like he's a tinkerer by nature. And that's what he does with game plans and plays. He tinkers. Like he's got these stack of new plays. Like he's testing them out. He's running it through players. What do we call this? Like, the touchdown to Kadarius Toney.
Right.
He calls it corn dog.
Yeah.
Right? Corn dog is the name of the play.
Right.
Because he likes corn dogs. The enemy likes corn dogs. They like to eat. Who doesn't like go to the state fair, get a corn dog? Well, corn dog worked on Sunday. And, they got that from, something that they saw Jacksonville do to the Eagles back in week 4. I mean, it was all kind of out there yesterday. I put it up on tape yesterday. But, he's a tinkerer. Like, there is no playbook. The playbook is what's inside his mind, who he's going up against, what the conditions are, who's healthy, who's playing. Like the playbook really isn't a playbook. It's just this collection of ideas, and you give these plays names as you sort of evolve. And that's where they're at right now. And that's like, Indianapolis can hire Shane Steichen. That's great. Like I'm all for these young guys getting a chance. Right. But do they have that? Do they have that ability to tinker, change, alter, and figure things out, not just all week long, but game day, make the necessary changes to do that?
Well, when they lost the Super Bowl a couple years ago, their offensive line was decimated, right? And that I felt like they reworked everything since then and have gotten to where they're at. He's an old lineman, Andy Reid, BYU, Steve Young. I mean, it's legendary, right? But
SS State.
How? Like I'm looking at it, and I know it's a byproduct of Mahomes as well. In the 10 years he's been in Kansas City, he's had his quarterbacks, the starters, miss 4 games because of injury. And yet I see my 49ers and guys are going down left and right. Is that just the quarterback? Is that protection? Is that Andy Reid understanding certain things? Like, what do you make of that? Or is that just random coincidence?
Boy, Kyle would hate that question.
I know. It seems unfair because I know the game's violent.
It does. But it's a great question, Joe. I love it because I'm kind of just thinking about it right now. Now, Alex Smith was healthy before he played for Andy in San Francisco. He was healthy until that leg got shattered. In Mahomes, I remember Mahomes playing on a bad ankle at Texas Tech, but he didn't miss games once he started for Cliff Kingsbury. And so, a lot of it, I think, is just the makeup of the player. We have seen Mahomes injured before on games, obviously the ankle being the most recent, but he plays through it. He's not missing games.
No.
It's not broken ankles. It's not shattered shoulders, that San Francisco's had to deal with. A Tommy John elbow issue. Like, we haven't seen those injuries. And so it's a great question. I mean, I remember the Super Bowl in Tampa, And obviously the offensive line was a question, Joe. I mean, they went out, Brett Veach. I mean, Trey Smith had blood clots at Tennessee. Like, he wasn't even on a lot of teams' draft boards. You know, he started 2 years, every single play, 2 straight years in a row.
That's
Hasn't missed a
crazy.
play.
That's wild.
All right? You know, Creed Humphrey, second-round pick, Oklahoma, hasn't missed a play. They go get Joe Tooney in free agency, hadn't missed a play. Zeus, left tackle, hadn't missed a play. You know, like, they put together a line. To your point, Joe, not only has the quarterback really not missed anything, the offensive line hasn't missed anything. Like, so is it something in the way that they train? Is it something in the way that they practice? Like, I think it's worth a deep dive, Joe.
Yeah, I
go
do.
find out.
Yeah.
Like, I remember Andy when he was in Philadelphia. I just saw Brian Westbrook the other day. Like, I remember going out to camp at Lehigh with Andy. And the first week of camp, this is a little bit different now, but it's still a little bit like this in Kansas City. Like, it was full contact every drill. I want guys to get hit in shape. Westbrook, who was their star running back at the time, like, he's getting tackled by Jeremiah Trotter to the ground. Now, you know, I mean, that was a different era.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not saying let's go back to that. But, like, there is worth something by how is Kansas City doing this?
Yes.
Right. No, that's a great point, Baldy. Great point. Brian Baldinger here on the Morning Rush on 95.7 The Game. Last one about Andy before we flip over to Philly, because I thought Jalen Hurts looked dynamic. He left no doubt about where he's at with his game. But Andy Reid's development of quarterbacks. I mean, we talked Bill Walsh. Joe Gibbs won 3 Super Bowls with 3 different quarterbacks. Where's Andy got to stack up when it comes to developing quarterbacks? Because McNabb, when he came out of Syracuse, more of a runner. Next thing you know, McNabb's a borderline Hall of Famer. Michael Vick, we know he can do everything with his legs. Next thing you know, Michael Vick can throw from the pocket because Andy Reid put his hands on him. Alex Smith had his best years under Andy Reid. He couldn't do anything in San Francisco, and now we see Mahomes. So when it comes to quarterback development, I don't know how many guys other than Bill Walsh are better than Andy Reid in the history of the league.
I agree with you, Bonte. I agree. You know, he was with Brett Favre in Green Bay.
True. Yep.
Learned a lot from Brett Favre. He was sort of like the go-between with him in Holmgren back there, you know, when Favre would go kind of off the ranch
that buffer.
and do some things on his own. But Andy just has, like, even if when Mahomes first got to Kansas City, there'd be an offensive series. You would see Mahomes sit down and Andy Reid would sit next to him. And they look at those videos and look at the tape and they would talk about the next series and what he saw. Like, he's in constant communication with these guys. And that's like any relationship, you know, it's got to be communication based. And I think that's still the greatest strength of Andy is not only to design and create but other players. In fact, the pregame speech the night before, Andy was just be yourself. Like, he's not trying to change anybody. And, you know, Favre was different than Mahomes. Mahomes is different than Alex Smith. But yet he's getting the best out of all those guys, although they're all different temperaments, different personalities, different ways they're going about their business.
You know, Baldy, I find it so fascinating as we look at Jalen Hurts, and he was awesome, obviously, awesome in that game. Like, I don't know how many people thought he'd be this good. I don't know how many people thought he'd be a quarterback in the NFL, let alone be this type of a player. When you're looking at the evaluation process, and specifically on Jalen, more so than even Patrick Mahomes, like, how does this change how you're viewing guys currently in the NFL or coming through the ranks? Because I listened to him in the postgame presser. We could talk about his arm. We could talk about his legs and his size, how much he squats. The character of this young man, like, that's what I'm banking on, is the character of him. And to hear him at the podium, coach his son and whatnot, like, I don't know. I'm looking at Jalen and I'm saying I think more guys are going to look like Jalen's development coming into the league than Mahomes is.
Well, okay. I mean, all those are valid points, Joe. The NFL, I say this all the time, the NFL can only take what the college game gives you.
Yeah.
All right, so they're giving you Jalen. But, you know, I do think the entire process, we're going to go through it, it's already starting.
Yeah.
With all the quarterbacks coming out. I mean, the two qualities about Jalen and Mahomes both, maturity.
Yes.
He's 24 years old. You know, Jalen Hurts. He's 24 years old. He graduated from Alabama, didn't get transfer when he got benched, helped to win a championship, the SEC championship the year that he did, you know, get benched. Mm-hmm. Then he's a grad transfer to Oklahoma, where Lincoln really took him to another level. The maturity and the character, like, that's where it's got to start, Joe. It's got, and when you see these guys flame out or blow up, the first thing you see is they don't know how to be a teammate. They're acting goofy. Like, this isn't how a quarterback acts. Like, you can point to those issues as soon as you see a quarterback flame out. And it's all around the league right now. And you just wonder, like, how did they miss this? Because that's, like, I'm around Jalen a little bit. I don't pretend to be his best friend or anything like that. But he's the same guy. He's the exact same guy when he's in the weight room working out. Like, it's focused. It's serious. They wanted Carson Wentz to be Jalen Hurts.
Right.
He could never be Jalen Hurts. He doesn't know how to interact with teammates like that. He's not. His maturity is different than what Jalen's is. Jalen is only going to keep getting better. Like, he's going to be a guy that you can bank on to get to the postseason every year. Like, he's going to lead. It's just going to be inside of him.
Man, 80% completion percentage from the pocket. Look, I don't want to rip other players' body in front of you because I know the relationship you have, but I don't know what the hell Robbie Gold was thinking talking about Jalen Hurts. If you make him be a quarterback, you have great chances. Jalen Hurts
isn't there
fantastic.
Like, didn't Peyton call that,
idiot
Pat
kicker.
McAfee, like the goofy kicker?
Yeah,
like,
Mike Vanderjagt.
I never thought of
it was Mike Vanderjagt.
I never thought of Robbie as being the goofy kicker, but that's the goofy kicker speaking.
Dude, what are you talking about?
Ridiculous.
What are you talking about here? Where does Philly go from here? Because they do have a lot of free agents. No, Fletcher Cox is one of them. They had a fantastic season. A lot of good talent on that team. Where do you see Philly at next year? Is it? Will they be back at this point due to Jalen Hurts and Sirianni? Because I know they're going to lose assistants, they're going to lose players or whatnot. Where do you see Philly at next season, Baldy?
I think that they're still going to be good. I mean, the general manager's got the 10th pick in the draft. So they're going to get a high draft pick. Whoever they, whether it's a corner or pass rusher, that's generally where you go at 10. Look, the receiving core comes back. Most of the offense line, Kelsey might not, but if he doesn't, they drafted this kid Cam Jurgens, who looks like he could be a bigger, stronger Kelsey. I don't know if he's got what Kelsey shows us every week, but he's going to be a good player. So they might have the offense line intact. I just think the core of the team, they're going to lose Fletcher and they're going to lose Brandon Graham and certain guys, but, they're going to have the core of their team is going to come back. And so they're going to be right up there with the best teams in the NFC compete next year.
All right, what's next for you, Baldy, man, as you get into the offseason? Vacation coming up? Are you still in Arizona? What's going on in your world now that the Super Bowl is over?
Well, I'm in L.A., so, we're doing these wrap-up shows, and we're looking ahead.
Right.
It's ridiculous. The game's over, like, down to 24 hours. We're talking about the draft. We're talking about, where's Garoppolo going?
Right.
Like, these questions are already being asked to me. But today is Tuesday, Bonte.
Uh-huh.
On in Belize. I'll be diving
Friday.
in the Blue Hole in Belize.
Oh, my God.
So, it's 70 miles off the coast. It's, I hope I see my share of hammerheads and, white tips and the whole thing out there. Like, I'll be in Belize and nobody will be able to find me.
We'll be looking for you on Instagram. We love having you on, man. Baldy, you're a big bro to us,
I love
man.
you guys.
You're
man, it was a lot of
a
fun.
modern day John Madden, man.
Absolutely.
We can't do it again. We can't wait to see your breakdowns
Better
of Belize.
hands.
Yes. Have fun in Belize.
My dad always says the pinky on Baldy.
Yeah, well, we'll put it out there just one more time for all your viewers.
Hey,
Anyways, you got to recharge, but we won't be too far away, guys.
No doubt.
We'll be in touch.
You're
no
the
doubt,
best.
Baldy. You're the best,
All right,
Baldy.
guys.
Take care, man. Have fun in Belize, man.
Brian Baldinger.
Brian Baldinger here on the Morning Roast on 95.7 The Game.